Are you suffering with anxiety or depression? Are you dependent on your medication from your doctor in order to heal this? Well, I'm here to show you another way that you can relieve your symptoms of anxiety and depression without having to be dependent on drugs that do not fix the problem. Here on the DNaz channel, welcome back to the DNaz channel. I am your host, DNaz, and today we are talking about anxiety and depression and holistic ways that we can heal it. Holistic ways meaning using plant medicine and natural remedies. I'm here to bring you some information about what anxiety and depression is, what's happening to us when we have these symptoms, and the types of drugs that we are taking from the doctor, and how those drugs are harmful to us, and how we can replace them with healthier options. So, first, I want to get started by what is happening. What is happening when we have anxiety or depression? So, let's start with anxiety. Anxiety happens when we have a fight or flight response, right? This happens to something that makes us feel uncomfortable or triggers. We have triggers that set off our nervous system in our body. And we have something called adrenal, like kind of like adrenaline, right? We have adrenal glands in our body, and these glands prepare us for our fight or flight response, right? So something is happening to our adrenal glands that is making them overactive, right? And there are triggers that set this off and they become overactive, and then we start to have these symptoms. So what kind of symptoms? Our heart rate starts to increase, right? Our blood sugar spikes, and we have heavy breathing or sweating, right? And this can lead to fainting. This can lead to, just a very uncomfortable feeling, and a feeling of needing to escape, like escape the room, right? So we have a large amount of stress hormones, right? Like epinephrine, and these get released into the bloodstream when the fight or flight response happens. And when this happens, that's why we get this feeling of sweat or heavy breathing. This triggers all sorts of actions in our body, right? What happens when we have depression? Well, depression is a feeling of worthlessness, and it can give you insomnia or hypersomnia, which is sleeping too much, right? You can have loss of interest in wanting to do things, or you're losing your ability to think and concentrate, right? This can cause weight loss or weight gain, all right? What's happening is you have an imbalance of neurotransmitters in your brain, and they are unable to transmit the mood chemicals that are needed in your brain, such as melatonin, dopamine, and adrenaline, okay? So these are our two symptoms, our two diseases, if you will, right? Anxiety or depression. What are doctors prescribing for anxiety, let's say? Well, and depression at the same time. They usually treat these things very similar, with very similar drugs, right? So we have things like Xanax, which are benzodiazepines. And the reason why we have this is because we have benzodiazepine receptors in our brain. These link hugely to our anxiety and depression. They might also give you Klonopin or clonazepam, right? With depression, you'll see them giving you a lot of fluoxetine, which is Prozac, or sertraline, which is which is Zoloft, okay? And there are many of other drugs, and a lot of these drugs, they take a few weeks for your brain to fully switch over, because they're rewiring your brain, right? And this is no good. You want to rewire your brain in a healthy way, in a constructive way, where you are recircuiting your brain to do better habits, right? Better habits, instead of sleeping or eating to alleviate your symptoms, right? You don't want to completely rewire your brain, and you don't know what parts of your brain that you're shutting off when you're taking these drugs. So what are some replacement herbs that we can use, right? These replacement herbs, they will improve your blood flow to your brain. They will help your serotonin receptors, and they will promote relaxation and your sleep aid, okay? So let's get started. We have chamomile. Chamomile works, it works by relaxing the muscles. It relaxes the digestive system and the nervous system, okay? You can use ginkgo. St. John's wort is another great herb for depression, right? It improves the nervous system, okay? We have kava kava. Kava kava has chemicals called cavalactones, all right? And they act in the limbic system of the brain, and they modify the brain receptors. Now, notice that they are modifying the brain receptors, but they are not binding to the brain receptors. So this is healthy because they are not completely binding to it. Just like the drugs that you take to alleviate your symptoms, they are binding to your receptors, right? These are just modifying your receptors a little bit, sending signals other places, or making them not so intense so you have an overactive system, right? We can use ginseng. Then we have valerian. Valerian is an herb with its active ingredients being valipatriates, okay? These bind to your benzodiazepine receptors. But again, this is replacing the drugs that you are getting from your doctor. Now, if you are taking drugs from your doctor, I am not a doctor, and I do not advise you to just quit and cold turkey and quit your drugs. I am not a medical advisor. This is to be taken at your own risk, if you will, right? But these are much healthier options, right? So again, if you are already addicted to your substances or taking your substances every day, you have these chemicals binded to your benzodiazepine receptors. So it might be good to replace them or to slowly wean off while using teas with valerian or kava kava, something that redirects and unbinds those receptors. So next we have lavender. Lavender is great for like an aromatherapy, right? Has a great smell, and it's a calming herb, right? A beautiful calming herb. And, you know, you can use it in a tea, but mainly it is aromatherapy, right? And then we have mugwort. That's a personal favorite of mine, right? Again, there are many other herbs we can use. These are just a small list. Again, chamomile, ginkgo, St. John's wort, kava kava, ginseng, valerian, lavender, and mugwort. These are all options you can use, okay? Now, what are other holistic ways? If you are not into the plants, if you are not down with making plant teas and medicines, or you don't know where to start, you don't trust it fully right away, what can you do? Well, there are more holistic ways to beat anxiety and depression. One of them is exercise. And that doesn't mean, if you don't exercise already, that doesn't mean you need to go to the gym for 2 hours a day, an hour a day. You don't. Try doing something like taking a walk for 20 minutes. You have no idea how much a walk will clear your mind and redirect your mood, okay? Stretching. Stretching is so healthy for you. When you wake up in the morning, try just sitting for a minute with yourself, right? And stretching. This also links to like meditation, sitting with yourself, breathing, calming yourself, okay? And the way you start your day directs the rest of your day. So if you start your day in a calm, meditative state and stretching, right, or exercising and releasing stress, the rest of your day is going to flow. It is going to have a much greater outcome for you that day than if you didn't, because you are setting the mood for your day, right? Whether it be relaxing or stress relieving through exercise. You are setting the mood for your day, right? Hydration is key. Are you drinking enough water? Is your body hydrated, right? Do you have a support system? Do you have friends and family around you for when you get anxiety or depressed? Do you have someone to call, right? Do you have hobbies? If you don't, maybe you should find some hobbies. Reading is great. Reading works the brain, right? And the imagination, right? If you're not into reading, just try finding something else. Try finding a hobby in order to relieve your stress and to not be in your head so much, especially if you suffer from depression. You don't want to be in your head so much. Find something that makes you happy that you can do and makes you feel accomplished, right? Set goals. Don't set big goals. Big goals are great, but the way to accomplish something big is to break it down into small goals and just beat those little small goals one by one, right? And then lastly is your diet or your nutrition. Your diet has so much to do with your health and your mental health, okay? Because if you're not taking in the right foods, your body is not operating in the right way, and you are not thinking in the right way. So please think of more ways you can heal yourself without running to medication, and try to find yourself a support system. Try to find yourself different ways to deal with your anxiety or depression, because we all face it. You are not alone, and you can always come here to the DNaz channel. If you haven't, please like and subscribe and come back for more holistic ways to heal yourself, and we will fight these symptoms together and move on to a healthier lifestyle. We'll see you next time.